Hi everyone and welcome to online coaching. Today I have one question or a set of questions regarding interviewing for a role as a digital marketer. I'm just going to read out the question over here. Hi Fabian, I'm going for an interview for a digital marketing role with a media publication company. They told me that the discussion will mainly touch on how my technical skills and experience in digital marketing could help to shape their company. It would be great if you share some of your experience and advice on how to approach this kind of conversation. Below is a background and some of my questions. Who I'll be meeting? Managing director of the company, 9 years in the company. Business background. They are a specialist international publication dealing with newspaper and magazine publication. They cater to a niche target audience in industries such as shipping, oil, gas, and renewable energy. Main bulk of their revenue comes from advertising and circulation revenue. Their business situation as consumer media habits in advertising market are increasingly trending towards digital away from news-based media. The following trends are noticed: drop in advertising revenue and circulation revenue of print products due to decline in readership, growth in digital products and digital subscription revenue. They have seen undergone various reorganization and digitization of existing publication and subscription products like digital newspaper for mobile and PC. Their challenges: as digital subscribers generally are less loyal to digitized products, churn rate is higher for such digital subscription, where customers stop subscription after a few months, and reading frequency for digital editorial products are not as high as compared to traditional print publication. So that is the background, and the question are as follows. Do you have any advice on how to approach the conversation with non-digital savvy management people when discussing on how digital marketing can help solve their business problem, which is declining readership and declining revenue? I'm going to read all three so that we understand the context and probably can put some insight into this. So the first question is on how to approach and speak to non-digital savvy management about digital marketing solution. Question number 2, for such traditional publication businesses that are transitioning into digitization, what kind of digital strategy would you recommend them to adopt to drive their subscription revenue? So question 2 is asking for digital strategy. For example, how would you structure and prioritize a paid campaign to acquire new readers and retain existing readers? What channels would be used? Question 3, what kind of digital marketing strategy would you recommend them to adopt to increase their advertising revenue such that clients who advertise on their print and digital publication get an ROI from their media investments? Well, the scenario is interestingly very similar to what's happening right now in Yellow Pages all over the world, including Singapore, of course, where I'm running the show right now. So I'm pretty current with the state of affairs concerning print publication and migration of their customers towards the digital product itself. So let's take the questions one by one. How do we approach conversation with non-digital savvy management when discussing digital marketing? I think the first thing you need to recognize is that they know that there's a migration, and you need to acknowledge and confirm that there is a migration going on. And if you ask me, I probably wouldn't provide much of a solution on trying to save print, and my focus would be on increasing readership for digital. And I don't really know how they go about doing this for sure, but the conversation would have to be on certain ideas that you would have uh, put forward to them in a non technical perspective. For example, one of the things that I would say, since they are basically advertising and circulation revenue first, well, in this case, my strategy to him would be, since they're correlated, I would be more interested in increasing circulation first before circulation revenue. So they're not the same thing, because I can have a strategy to increase circulation, and that is something we can do well online, and that is, of course, offering a free trial. So a free trial can boost circulation, not necessarily circulation revenue, but again, we have to take these things one step at a time, right? So essentially, we'll talk about increasing circulation first, and asking them whether they are already uh, do they already run campaigns online that allows them to bring on board new readership. And if they do not, then obviously you should tell them to go ahead and start implementing a campaign to boost circulation itself. Now, so circulation boost is important because that's where the advertising revenues are correlated. If circulation drops, advertising revenue is going to drop because no one wants to pay the same rate to reach out to less people. So you need statistics. And here's my perspective, isn't it? That I don't really think the advertiser cares whether or not your circulation is primarily print or digital. An eyeball is an eyeball. Okay, so this is what I would tell them or tell him. And therefore, advertisers want to see that when they are spending their hard-earned dollars on a publication, that the total circulation, print or non-print, gives them access or exposure to their target market of readers. And in this case, it's a B2B publication for sure. Okay, so I would delve quite deeply into the free trial approach and asking them how are they adopting this. And of course, if you've done your homework, then we could go to the next step to see how are they implementing their free trial, and how successful is their free trial itself. Then of course there's a free trial conversion, which now drives into the circulation revenue. Now again, without seeing how the campaign is being laid out and created, it's going to be hard to comment, because this is essentially a funnel technique. And one of the aspects that I would touch upon to them would be to increase their average lifetime spend, of course. And what they're telling us is that the lifetime spend tends to be a few months. So in such a scenario, then it's need to find out again how are they price. What's your pricing strategy? Is your pricing strategy based on a monthly basis or an annual basis? And what I can tell you for sure is that, of course, most online publications today are pricing on an annual basis. And I'll tell you why, right? Number one, it keeps them at least alive for 12 months since they've already paid for 12 months. You're not going to churn before that because you've already paid for that. Of course, they get offered a discount to subscribe for a year. But more importantly, right, more importantly is that you don't want a customer to be seeing a credit card charge every single month on the credit card statement. So the most damning aspect of a monthly charge is that you see that credit card renewal every single month. And guess what happens when things go south or the business starts to get bad, right? They start to scrutinize line items, and there goes your digital subscription. So I'm a big fan of yearly subscription. Of course, we're going to offer them uh, a good discount, but and this is where the calculation comes in, isn't it? In terms of where are they churning? Are they churning after 3 months? So this is where your output calculation comes in, right? Your average revenue per user. If your output is 3 months, then technically speaking, on average, the way to increase circulation revenue and therefore circulation is to price your yearly subscription slightly beyond your output. Okay? Not, as I said, it's not just the revenues that you need, you also need that circulation number to be up to positively affect advertising. So you're killing three birds with one stone. And here's what you need, right? You need to understand what is the output, the average revenue per user. So, for example, if it's 3 months, then you are not worse off by pricing an annual subscription at, for example, 44% discount, because you are still going to make 60%, and 60% is better than 3 months. 5 months is better than 3 months, for example. So in that case, if I want to increase my circulation revenue to 5 months, then my offer will be subscribe for 1 year and get a 55% discount, for example. So this is again, not a brilliantly new strategy. Many online magazines do that. Okay, and I myself subscribe to a lot of my hobby, my aviation magazines on my iPad, and I'm paying yearly subscriptions because they're offering me 55% discount, 60% discount, or whatever. And most importantly, I don't see a monthly bill to remind me to cancel a subscription. So that's what I would basically say, um, in a non-technical approach, to have a discussion. Now, of course, do your homework. If you know what you're doing already in terms of their circulation strategy, then comment on it. I don't have it, so I can't comment. But that's what I would make you think about, or make him think about, is the ARPU and the pricing, and ensuring that he achieves an annual subscription. Now, if it's against annual, then you go half yearly. That's going to be how it's going to work. So they shouldn't be churned because they're prepaying, and they won't churn because they're already prepaying anyway. And your statistics are going to say that my customers are with me for 6 months or for 1 year. Whether or not they read the magazine does not change my circulation itself. Okay, so important is to maintain circulation, increase circulation, because circulation decline for loyal advertisers uh, can be a challenge to try to convince them to renew advertising the following year itself. So I hope I've answered, well, more than question one, I guess. But what kind of digital strategy would we recommend them to adopt? Well, actually, the truth is that they should syndicate their magazine to the the guys who deal with magazines, companies like Zinio, for example, Zinio, and the likes, magazines.com, because that kind of makes it easy for us to subscribe. I'm not sure again how they go about doing it, but I tend to subscribe primarily only magazines within Zinio, because Zinio has a very nice interface that sorts my magazine out and allows me to browse all my magazines in one app itself rather than having to hunt for different apps. So this is about consumption. It's very important that they understand subscribing is one thing, getting the revenues from circulation is one thing, but the many very often the reason why people churn for magazines is because they don't read the magazine, they don't consume, and what you don't consume, you will have a higher probability of wanting to churn. So it's important that they kind of make their magazines accessible. Or, I mean, they may have their own app probably, okay. But if the app is a standalone, you are risking churn because, as you can imagine, whether on an iPad or an iPhone or whatever, there are so many apps that we have, and we get disfocused sometimes, and it happens for me as well, right? That I may end up subscribing to something that I don't really use because I literally forgot about it. And the next time I see it on the bill, what is my behavior, right? I click unsubscribe for sure. Or I request to cancel my subscription because I'm not using it. So you have to also look at consumption. Consumption is another very important aspect. If you're not going to consume, there's a very high chance they're going to churn because they're not consuming and they're not benefiting therefore. So what kind of digital strategy, as I said, if it's possible to syndicate it with the world's largest middleman for magazines, Zinio or magazines.com, there are probably going to be others as well. How about even, well, now let's move on, right? Then how can we go about to increase our reach in that sense? Well, in this case, the two channels that come to mind are obviously uh, AdWords ads, and in this case, the keyword is going to be something magazine, right, or something newspaper, for sure, along with shipping magazine, shipping newspaper, shipping publication, whatever, the whole list of keywords itself. But of course, we need to ensure that the qualifier, which is magazine or publication or newspaper, is part of the keyword itself. I mean, if you do AdWords, you know what I mean, right? Therefore, you want to target keywords with commercial intent. Now, in this case, I would also seriously deep dive in LinkedIn, because the even though it's a niche audience, but LinkedIn is going to be an excellent platform to target people in the shipping industry, oil and gas, search them by job titles, do research on company names, take the list or the client list, past and present, and reach out to them. You can use an email approach. So email is like a one-to-one kind of approach and offer them a free trial. Okay. Or you can do advertising. So I will use both. I will reach out to the top executives using email. If they already are not doing this, I'm not sure. Okay, so again, I don't think you will lose brownie points if you are saying things that they are already doing. Because if they're already doing those things, then we can now review how they're doing things. So there's always going to be improvement opportunities. And this is something that you can use as a backup and talk to them, right? So they say, well, we're doing this already. And so how is it performing? Because as far as I'm concerned, every digital campaign can be improved. The layout, the copy, the funnel flow, the post purchase, upsell process, and a whole lot of other things can be tweaked. Okay? And that's where the skill set comes in. So I would say for sure, uh, for for AdWords, for LinkedIn. Then of course, I would also hunt down trade shows. So trade shows are B2B platforms, live trade shows itself for shipping, oil and gas, renewable energy. These verticals, find out where the major trade shows, they have publications as well. So do the same thing where you cross advertise in some other person's publication, digital or print. But the key is to measure, right? So use kind of a QR code or whatever to extend the reach to people who may be interested in the information but do not know about your publication. So notice that I'm not just offering a pure digital approach, but I'm saying that we need to reach out. It's already niche enough. We need to reach out to participants in this industry, globally, even if it's going to be relevant. And the key here, of course, is to track every campaign to find out where your ROI is returning you the best results itself. So retargeting can come in, obviously. You can use AdWords to do that. You can use Facebook to do that. In fact, so Facebook can be quite an interesting platform, even though it's B2C, but Facebook works for all type of industries from a retargeting perspective. So I would definitely use Facebook for retargeting and make it visual. And at the same time as well, I would run Google Ads, remarketing, banner ads, display ads using their display network to retarget prospects who land on their subscription page but do not subscribe. Okay, so that's a beautiful part, right? You can run huge campaigns. I would also look at, for sure, right? I'll look at EDM, electronic dynamic direct mail. It's basically solo ad campaigns where you can blast offers where someone else holds an email database of very targeted prospects or leads in the shipping, oil, gas, renewable energy. They have to zero in, of course, and find other people, other competitors even, who have similar publications and test using EDM, electronic direct mail, all right? And then, of course, last but not least, is direct mail itself. So direct mail is basically sending them an offer using old-fashioned bank, which I think they're doing right now already. Okay, but my point is to find out whether we can borrow other people's lists, and that's why we should not consider a competitor as a competitor, but a competitor can be a collaborator because they have their own list, you have your own list, you have your own customers, they have their own customers, and if they're offering a subscription or an email blast for a fee, then go about doing that. In fact, I see a lot of competitors working with each other because they are just leveraging each other's mailing lists. I see this very often. I see competing magazines advertising in competing magazines. So again, are they doing this kind of stuff? If they are not, then they should. So essentially, it is really pulling out all stops to accomplish increase in circulation first, then through very clever annual or biannual pricing strategies increase circulation revenue, and of course in turn advertising revenue itself. Question number 3 is digital marketing strategy to recommend to adopt increase in advertising revenue. Well, again, this is a direct demand thing, right? So when you have people subscribing, some are readers, some are going to be advertisers, some people are going to be in the business as well. So increasing circulation will increase exposure, right, to the availability of this platform for advertisement. So to me, it's going to be uh, increasing circulation. Advertising will have to be more B2B again, and it could be different campaigns. One campaign for magazine subscription, the other campaign would be for advertising. Okay, so it's going to be, I wouldn't say the same target audience, but you could have your supplier. I mean, advertising revenue comes from suppliers, comes from merchants. So again, if they're already not doing like trade shows, which I believe they would, if you had, go to a trade show website and you have a whole list of suppliers, right, or advertisers, and those become your potential advertisers as well. I believe they should be doing these things, but always good to ask, because if anything, you get to impress upon them that you are, even though you not may not have the direct knowledge in the industry, you are savvy enough to be able to explain to them their industry. Let's put it this way, right? And therefore acknowledge with them that you understand how this whole game works. And I think that that should be more than sufficient to secure the job. Okay, so that's really all I have for you right now. The last point, just to be very clear, is go and research again. Trade show directories online. They're all online today. They're all internet websites, isn't it? They all have trade shows all over the world. I'm saying that their advertiser or supplier directory or exhibition list is a good start to find out, to kind of expand your supplier list and therefore advertising revenue. So cool. Let's see whether our friend Daniel has any questions. So Daniel's asking, can I say that the marketing strategies you mentioned to drive subscriptions kind of like a demand generation campaign? Yeah, sure, of course. Demand generation definitely is an accurate term for trying to increase subscription for sure. Now, if you really want this one at your own risk, right? If you really want to impress upon them that you've been trained by the best, then you can always tell them that you spend many years training with me, which is a fact. And sometimes this thing work. We do a lot of personality type of edification, and the way to go about doing that is to just Google my name on the internet and say, well, I've been learning a lot from this guy. His name is Fabian Lim. Okay. Well, I don't believe this. Why are people putting ads on my name itself? How sick is that? Okay. So, and the best approach is to go to images, I think. Okay. This is more visual. Of course, I'm not this guy. I'm not sure where this guy came from, but, kind of saying that I've been around and I've been doing stuff, and, therefore I have credibility, and you learn from me, and therefore you have credibility as well. Okay, so you can try doing that at your own risk. If they ask you what is your background, where have you learned, and where did your experience come from, then feel free to name drop me. You can say that I'm the current CEO of Yellow Pages Singapore and also the co-founder, group founder of and CEO of Page Advisor. Okay, so that's it. I hope I have answered your question. Well, I have answered your question, so I'm not going to hope. We are going to now move on to the next segment if you don't have any further questions.